All right, financial math classes. We are covering our final lesson for chapter 9, all about vehicles. This last section, we're talking about renting a vehicle and not like leasing in the sense that you're leasing a vehicle is like a long-term rental for years. That's a bad investment for you. But like if you're on vacation, how renting a car works and the costs associated with that. So renting a vehicle from time to time, you may need to rent a vehicle, which means to use a vehicle by agreeing to pay a set fee. Some vehicle rental agencies charge a daily rate plus a per mile rate. Others charge a daily rate with no mileage fee. In either case, you pay for the gasoline used. How that works, so when you rent a vehicle, no matter how they charge, what you need to do is they ask you to return the vehicle filled up, topped off with gasoline. If it's not topped off, they will charge you for gasoline, and it's important that you want to actually top off your rental car before you return it, because the price that they'll charge you for gas is usually more than what you can find at a gas station down the street. So if you ever rent a car, make sure you top it off as close to the rental agency as you can, so you don't get charged an exorbitant amount for gasoline. There's also collision and damage waiver, so that's insurance on a rented vehicle. So you can pay for those things. I think a lot of people will recommend that if you have your own good personal car insurance, your own car insurance will cover rental vehicles as well. You can get that for your car insurance. So a lot of times it's not worth the money to get the collision damage waiver, because that's paying for their insurance. But if you have good car insurance, it will cover rental vehicles you are driving. So just be aware with what kind of rental car insurance that you have if you have a rental vehicle. So let's look at an example problem. So we have Joe rented a standard SUV in Cleveland for 3 days at $49.95 plus 20 cents per mile. He purchased the collision waiver for $24.99 per day. Drove 468 miles and paid $66.70 for gas. What is A, the total cost to rent the SUV, and B, cost per mile? So find the total cost. You just need to add up all the associated costs. Be careful when you're adding up all these costs, because you got to do some multiplication to find some of these things. So 3 days at $49.95. So the daily cost, you have to do 3 days at $49.95. So you got to do 3 times $49.95. Plus the mileage cost, 20 cents per mile. So we're going to have to do some multiplication there too. 20 cents per mile. And he drove 600 or 468 miles. So 0.2 times 468, that's the 20 cents per mile. Then he did the collision waiver, which is $24.99 plus the gasoline cost, which is $66.70. So I'll do this in 2 steps. Just make sure you're following correct order of operations when you do this. So you have to do the 3 times $49.95. So the daily cost, the total daily cost is $149.85 plus the mileage cost, 0.2 times 468 comes out to $93.60 plus the $24.99 plus the $66.70. Total all that up. So the final cost, the total cost, so $149.85 plus $93.60 plus $24.99 plus $66.70 all comes out to $335.14 total to rent the vehicle. So the total cost per mile, all you need to do is the total cost of 335.14 and divide it by the total number of miles, 468. So divided by 468 is 71 or 0.716. So about 72 cents per mile to rent that vehicle. So if you remember from the last section, when we talked about the cost of owning a vehicle overall of the lifetime, owning a pickup truck, the example we did, it was almost 50 cents a mile. So it's this is 20 cents more. It doesn't seem like that much, but that's actually quite a bit over a lifetime of a car. So it's quite a bit more expensive to rent a car per mile than owning one when you're comparing it. Let's look at another example, one more example. Esther flew to her vacation condominium and rented a convertible for 7 days. The car rents for $229 per week with no charge for mileage. Her gasoline cost $81.64 and she drove 485 miles. So part A, what's the total cost? So the car rents $229 per week with no mileage charge. She rented for 7 days. So 7 days is 1 week. So that's all we need for the base price there is just the $229 per week, and she had it for 1 week. Plus her gasoline is $81.64. We don't need to worry about the mileage yet because there is no cost for the mileage. We'll figure that in for part C, but 229 plus 81.64. Oop, missed a decimal on there. 229 plus 81.64 is equal to 310.64. What is the cost if the rental is subject to 15% state and local tax? So there's a 15% state and local tax, and there are some states that do this, that they'll tax you for renting a car. It just brings in extra state revenue. So states with a lot of tourism would do something like that because that brings in a lot of extra revenue for them. But 0.15 times, so we got to figure out what that actual tax is. So 310.64. So that comes out to $46.60 in tax. And so the total, you need to do the 310.64 plus the tax. So the total comes out to 310.64 plus 46.60 comes out to 357.24. I should show our final answers here. So this one was 310.64. This one was 357.24. C, what is your cost per mile? So the total cost per mile, it's not clear if we're supposed to use the value from A or B for this, but I'm just gonna use the value for B, assuming that there was that 15% tax. So the cost per mile, I take the total cost with the tax, 357.24, and divide it by the total number of miles driven, so 485. So 357.24 divided by 485 is about 74 cents. 74 cents per mile to rent a vehicle. Pricey. Anyway, that'll do it for vehicles and vehicle costs. The next chapter we'll be talking about costs and finances associated with housing and mortgage loans. Can't wait. See you then.